Suzi and Kat coming to you from South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. It is day 3 of a 5-day conference, and today was kind of a mind-bending day.
Mind-breaking. Mind-breaking. In fact, my first tweet of the day was, yep, today's the mind-breaking day, where I come along, my mind gets broken, and then I hopefully put the pieces back together before I get home, but ultimately I'm expanded. My paradigms on the world are bigger and different.
We're going to talk about a couple of the things that have been breaking our minds today. So one of the things about South by Southwest is you can come here and you can do a practical workshop that's really about the how-tos of anything, but then you have these really big thinkers, and today was about big thinkers. And one of the sessions I wanted to talk about was Malcolm Gladwell, who many will know as the author of Blink and many other great books, and Bill Gurley, who is one of the investors in Uber. He's a major VC player out of California. And
literally major too.
Yeah, and he's very, very tall. And they were talking about a number of things. He's an investor in Uber, and when we're talking about mind-bending, he was talking about Uber and its growth. There are 300,000 Uber drivers around the world, growing exponentially, and really changed the way we think about transportation. But it also changed, we know that the millennials don't care about cars the way perhaps we did. We couldn't wait to get our license, to get our first car. But also the idea that there's all these jobs being created by a company from people who are wanting part-time work driving a car. The whole concept goes beyond cars and driving.
It really does go beyond cars and driving, and it's tapping into a number of different dynamics. I think, as you said, millennials don't necessarily want a car or their own license for the status symbol that we did. They just want to get from point A to point B. There was the lifestyle elements from, parents needing a way to get their kids to extracurricular activities, and they trust the Uber drivers. I know Uber is really controversial, particularly back home. There's taxi councils certainly at home in Queensland who are fighting the Uber phenomenon. But it was really interesting to also hear Gurley talk about it's not just the young people, but it's also, for example, enabling elderly people who don't drive anymore, who would therefore be not homebound, but they're restricted or constrained by public transport. They can now use an Uber to get out and have a far more active life. And he also highlighted the fact that the 300,000 drivers around the world, they're tapping into a lifestyle opportunity that they didn't have with their skill set, with their life constraints, whatever. So, I get the controversy, but it's absolutely spectacular to listen to how Uber is challenging so many different dynamics, cultural, social and political dynamics, all through a different business model.
The prediction that there will be a major decrease in drunk driving accidents because people are choosing to take an Uber rather than drive was just, I hadn't really thought about that, but it just shows one brand, 2 guys in a garage kind of business making huge social and economic. Yeah, they're out of the garage. All right, what else did you see today?
The session before Gurley and Gladwell actually was fascinating. It was a guy by the name of Hugh Herr, and he is doing some remarkable stuff when it comes to bionics. Now, one of my tweets was, I do not have the vocabulary to satisfactorily tweet this event, and I'm standing by that. So the essence of it, though, was instead of just a normal prosthetic, which, gets a degree towards back to a normal life for somebody who has lost a limb, what bionics are actually doing is actually mimicking real life, and we're actually getting to a point these days where it can actually augment normal function. So for example, Hugh, the speaker, actually is a double amputee. He's lost both of his legs, and he now has 2 awesome prosthetic or bionic legs. He has different bionic legs for the rock climbing that he does on prosthetics, for the running that he does, but also that we're able to get to a point very soon where we'll actually be able to put an exoskeleton on people that absorbs some of the shock, so we won't necessarily have the hip replacements or the knee replacement issues that we're currently having today. Also, there are some bionics that can actually reduce the impact on the body, so therefore it lowers the metabolic impact of exercise. So again, I don't have the vocabulary to actually properly articulate everything that was being discussed, but it was really bionic man stuff, and it's not in the future. It was literally in the room. We watched him jump up and down, take batteries out of his legs. It's just, mind-breaking.
Wow. Yeah. I'm sorry I missed that session. That sounds great.
What were you doing?
I don't know.
Oh, well.
I don't know.
What else did you see today?
Well, today's keynote we're going to talk a little bit about now, but we've actually done a dedicated episode to that. So start us off.
Martine Rothblatt, doing some absolutely remarkable stuff when it comes to cyber consciousness, I guess is going to be the word that I use to describe it. Her business was born out of a genuine need to find a cure or to find some medication for her child who had been, doctors had said, your child's got a few years to live, we don't have medications for it. And she said, I don't think so. And so sorted that out. Now a highly successful business called United Therapeutics, but also she's interested in this notion of being able to actually download our mind, mannerisms, memories, behaviours into a cyber mind file, and that cyber mind file might actually be able to live on to a point where we'll actually be able to bring it back in once technology is caught up into a rejuvenated body or a different form. Again, very science fiction orientated, but it's real. It's here today. It's not future stuff anymore. So
She talks about the future self, and she calls herself a transhumanist. She talked a lot about ethics and about valuing people in the way that they value themselves. She had lots of very, very deep conversations. What's the name of her book?
It's called Virtually Human, The Promise and the Peril of Digital Immortality. It reminds me of an X-Files episode, actually, that I saw about 20 years ago. So it's really kind of cool to have it come into real life.
So another session I popped into for a little while today was with Grazer, who's the producer of the show 24, which you'll know, the movie A Beautiful Mind. He worked with Ron Howard for a long time. And he talked about curiosity and it being the key to his success. Yeah. And one of the ways that he's demonstrated his curiosity is that he's interviewed hundreds of people from outside of his industry over a number of years. And he made it this every month. I'm going to meet with someone who does something totally different to what I do and ask them questions because I get inspiration from it.
That's awesome. That's why we come here.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So he said the land of ideas is using curiosity that lies within us and reaching out to places that lay way outside our comfort zone. And I think for entrepreneurs, that is really, really key. Firstly, being in business is way outside a lot of our comfort zones for a long time. Yep. But continuing to put yourself in the learner's seat, in environments like here, where you have a mind-numbing experience because someone's idea of life is so different to your own.
Well, and can you imagine too the business discipline and the business invigoration you would get is if you as an entrepreneur deliberately went out on a regular basis to find somebody from totally outside of your industry and just sat down and had a conversation with them. You just said, I want to have a coffee with you and I'm going to ask you these questions. I mean, I'm a big fan of lessons from other industries and lessons from other walks of life. So that's beautiful.
Yeah. So he did this with, governors, presidents, people in the arts, people in manufacturing, just all sorts of, now they're very big names because he's a big name and he can get to talk to really big names. But it doesn't matter. It's that idea of there's a lot I can learn by going way outside. And then he would bring that into his own work. And I thought that was really, really cool.
That's awesome. Sounds like it's been another awesome day.
It's been an awesome day here at South by Southwest. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow for day 4 and a little bit more. And do watch out for our interview with Martine. Very, very special lady.
Very special.
Yeah. Thank you.